At some point, a very long time ago, a human tasted salt for the first time. Maybe they licked a rock near a dry lake bed. Maybe they chewed on meat that had been sitting near the sea. Or maybe they just followed animal tracks and stumbled across a white crust on the ground. We don't know the exact moment, but something shifted. Because salt doesn't taste like anything else on Earth. It doesn't just add flavor, it wakes everything up. And that first person who experienced it didn't just find a seasoning. They accidentally found something that would reshape the entire human story. But the story of salt doesn't start with us. It starts with the animals. Long before any human understood what salt was, animals already knew. Deer, elephants, buffalo, dozens of species. They would travel incredible distances just to reach these mineral-rich spots called salt licks. Generation after generation, returning to the same places. Early humans noticed. They followed the herds. They arrived at the same deposits. And standing there, surrounded by the animals they hunted, they tasted the same minerals. And their bodies recognized it. Because the human body cannot survive without sodium. It keeps your fluids balanced. It lets your nerves fire. It makes your muscles work. The craving for salt isn't cultural. It's not something we learned. It's written into us. Every single person who has ever lived needed it to stay alive. The earliest clear evidence we have of humans deliberately making salt goes back around 6000 BCE in what's now Romania. At a place called Lunca, people were boiling brine from natural springs in ceramic pots, evaporating the water and collecting the crystals left behind. This wasn't casual. The scale suggests organized effort. People were producing salt on purpose. And why go to all that trouble? Because salt could do something almost nothing else in the ancient world could do. It stopped food from rotting. Before refrigeration, before canning, before any modern method of preservation, food spoiled fast. A good hunt could give you more meat than your group could eat in a day. Without a way to keep it, the rest was lost. But pack that meat in salt, and suddenly it could last weeks, sometimes months. Salt pulls the moisture out. Bacteria can't survive. This wasn't a small improvement. This was a survival revolution. Communities that figured this out could store food through winter. They could get through droughts when hunting failed. They could travel farther without needing fresh food every single day. Salt didn't just make food taste better. It made survival more reliable. And reliable survival changed everything. It made civilization possible. By around 2700 BCE, Chinese texts were already recording salt as both a food preservative and a medicine. The ancient Egyptians used it in mummification. The same chemistry that kept meat from rotting also kept bodies from decomposing. In Egypt, salt workers were among the earliest specialized laborers we know of. Entire jobs built around producing one resource. Then salt did something even more remarkable. It became money. Not metaphorically, literally. Roman soldiers were sometimes paid partly in salt. The Latin word for salt is sol. That's where the word salary comes from. And the phrase, worth his salt, that's the same origin. Every time someone says it today, they're echoing an ancient Roman payment system built on mineral deposits. Salt routes became some of the most important roads in the ancient world. The Via Salaria, the Salt Road, ran straight into Rome, carrying salt from the Adriatic coast. Controlled the salt, and you controlled food preservation. Control food preservation, and you controlled people. Entire political systems were built on who owned it. This pattern repeated everywhere. In China, salt taxes funded empires for thousands of years. In medieval Europe, the taxes were so heavy that salt smuggling became a serious crime. And in India, the British colonial government locked down salt production so tightly that when Gandhi chose a symbol of resistance in 1930, he didn't pick gold or land or weapons. He walked 240 miles to the sea to make salt. Because everyone understood what it meant. Salt meant survival. It meant power.
It meant the right to feed yourself without asking permission. The Salt March became one of the most powerful acts of civil disobedience in history, precisely because salt was never just salt. It carried everything underneath it. Today, salt is so ordinary we barely notice it. A small container costs almost nothing. It sits next to every stove, on every table, in every kitchen on the planet. Most of us never think about where it comes from, or what it once meant. But under that everyday salt shaker is a history that stretches back more than 8,000 years. Ancient people boiling brine by firelight. Roman soldiers accepting white crystals as payment.
Medieval smugglers risking everything over something we now take for granted. Gandhi walking barefoot toward the ocean. All of it because one day, a very long time ago, a human tasted something near a rock, felt their body respond in a way nothing else ever had, and decided this was worth following.